Hello everyone and welcome. I'll give everyone a second to get settled in here, but welcome. And we'll kick it off. All right, cool. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us on our 15th live stream for the Empowerment Podium. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. And for those that are new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you guys are joining us today, and I really hope that you'll stick around. You can join this community by subscribing to this channel, following us on Instagram and TikTok, and liking us on Facebook. The links to those socials are in the description down below. I'm so happy to be joined by today's speaker on such a unique topic. Just so you guys know, today we'll be going back to that Q&A format that we've done in the past. So if you want to get in on that Q&A and you have a question for today's speaker, please feel free to submit any questions you have over in that chat feature, and we'll try our very best to get to those during our discussion. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to bring up Maria alongside me on screen here. I would like to present today's speaker, Maria Baranova. Maria is a dual citizen of Russia and the USA. She moved from Russia to the US when she was 7 and moved around to Wisconsin, Florida, and ultimately Tennessee. She graduated high school as the top female science student in her class and earned a full scholarship to UT in biochemistry. She has volunteered for nursing homes, nurseries, rehab centers, food drives, and food pantries, as well as helped clean the streets of Knoxville, Tennessee. However, it was after working for 5 years in research labs that she really realized her passion for people. She started her nonprofit, Farm for Freedom, single-handedly, and is also working on starting a joint venture for-profit with her partner in order to fund the development of the nonprofit. So today she'll be sharing her journey building Farm for Freedom from the ground up and everything she's learned all along the way. Welcome, Maria. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Kay.
Awesome. All right. So let's just dive right into the Q&A. We've got some questions here lined up for you. You recently, as I mentioned, started the nonprofit called Farm for Freedom with the mission to end the cycle of recidivism one person at a time by reintegrating each of your residents back into Knoxville's society. For those that don't really know what recidivism is, can you explain what this very important issue is and how it inspired you to start Farm for Freedom?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, funny enough, even a lot of the people that I'm targeting don't even know what recidivism is, just because they've been in the cycle for so long and no one really talks to them about it.
Yeah.
But recidivism is the cycle of going back to prison. So this cycle can have multiple routes and multiple reasons, but the one thing that we're targeting is those that are trying to find employment and trying to find resources to get back on their feet and not go back to prison because they can't get a job or can't get stable footing, or because a lot of the time, you have family to lean on.
Yeah.
But whenever you come out of prison, you don't really have that. A lot of the time the family members just kind of discard you and don't give you footing and don't give you a place to stay. And sometimes you just need to go into these kinds of facilities to kind of get back on your feet. Overall, there's a bunch of facilities, but at the same time, well, not a bunch, there's not enough actually.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's actually the issue, because a lot of places, a lot of men and women end up on the streets because of this.
Yeah.
And they, of course, inevitably end up back into prison or jail or into the system.
Yeah.
So that is what recidivism is going back into the system. And what was the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
And how that issue kind of really inspired you to start Farm for Freedom.
Oh. Yeah, good. Okay. Yeah, I remember it. Okay. So the thing is I've worked on the streets a lot.
Yep.
And through working on the streets, I guess after talking to so many people, they were begging basically anything I can do to get off the streets. But because I've had a criminal background, people won't take me.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time these individuals don't even know what path they're taking. Literally they overspeak sometimes. They don't know the limits, because that's like, I mean, whenever you don't have limits growing up, or whenever you grow out of the limits that are like the society puts on you,
Yeah.
and you don't understand where to draw the line of communicating with individuals in the community, you kind of just like end up falling down, and people don't understand you, and they can't trust you because you have a criminal background now.
Yeah.
And then I kind of want to fix that problem where the individual can be rehabilitated into the system, in addition to actually having some kind of background where they can talk about something else other than their past, but rather their productive present.
Nice. That's amazing. Yeah. And thank you again for sharing, your perspective on it, what recidivism is. It's clearly a super important issue, and one that I feel like isn't talked about a ton of, or people aren't fully aware of it. So the fact that you're bringing awareness to that through working on a nonprofit for it is really amazing. So thank you for doing that and all the work that you've done. But I just want to talk a little bit more about, what your vision is. I know from your website that, and I quote, Farm for Freedom seeks to provide the victims of recidivism the highest level residential reformation program in Knoxville. You aim to do so by providing a supportive environment, secure housing, horticultural therapy, life training, targeted character development, recovery support, and community service. Obviously, there's a lot in that mission statement about what you guys are trying to do. So can you just tell us a little bit more about, the program, how it will work, how you conceptualized it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is kind of lengthy. I might want to shorten that a little bit.
No, it's a good summary.
Man, that is lengthy. Okay. But basically what we want to do in our company is or our nonprofit is kind of do a clean slate.
Yep.
Like, I don't know whether I mentioned this before in our conversations, but I want a brand new building, like clean, like new beds, new like bedding, new clothes, like everything, like, but like kind of structured, like what they're kind of used to, like, and I hate to say this, but in prison, but in an open environment where they can actually come out and do more with their life, and actually get out, like do some good, like, and help their personal communities. So how I plan to do this, so answering your question, so there's a clean background, clean rooms, like clean environment where each person gets their own living quarters, and like although they're small, there's a like local bathroom and everything, and they end up going downstairs, and because we plan to have at least a 2-3 story building, so on a farm, which is
makes sense.
Like a lot of funding, but at the same time, like it's what we're planning to do. And so they end up going downstairs. They have facility for there's a computer room, so they can use computers, and end up like working on whether it's online classes or literature or whatever. It's monitored by IT, because we have an IT administrator and already on board and planning this out as we're doing it. So we have an IT administrator, and he's ending up like covering all of this. And then during the day, morning hours, they're going to go out, they're going to do farm, and like they have their own plot of land where they determine what crops they grow. So they determine what they believe, like obviously we're going to monitor in ways where like each person kind of chooses their own thoughts, and like, but it's not overly accessible, like, or overly done where people like, lack of a better word, they don't overdo it. So like whether it's corn, tomatoes, cabbage, broccoli, there's a million, but they like people have to kind of monitor as it goes, and depending on the season. But this is where we educate them. We have a lead farmer. What we're having a farmer from the community come in and train each individual person. In the beginning, it's going to be a few, and then it's slowly going to grow, because with each lead farmer, they're going to end up rotating, and like they have the option of either becoming a lead farmer or joining their own work. Because they've been like, first of all, they've already been educated in their field wherever they want to go. Obviously, we make it like reasonable.
Right. Yeah.
So where they can go, and we reach out to the local community, and we see who can take them in. If somebody nobody can take them in at that moment, then they become a lead farmer themselves, and like after passing the examinations and everything, and end up training the next group.
Oh, that's so cool.
So, and,
nice.
Yeah, and actually the other cool part is once you become a lead farmer, you actually take profit from the produce that you get.
Oh, wow.
So,
nice. At like farmers markets.
We haven't figured out the percentage because we don't know how much the profit is yet. But there's a percentage that goes out to the farmer themselves. The lead farmer, especially, since they're training these guys, like they're going to end up having larger plots.
Yep.
So they're going to end up having more like crops.
Wow. Yeah.
Overall to sell, so more profit. So the more so you kind of get the idea. The more people that you can take in, the more that you can train and actually successfully go through the program, the more profit that you get as well.
Yeah, and then they have the skills too. Yeah. That's amazing.
That's kind of our goal, is to get the entrepreneur spirit, in a positive environment. In addition to also feeding the local food deserts in Knoxville.
Okay.
So that's the other half of it, where I haven't gone into detail, but we plan to work with food stamps and assistance, the government assistance programs, to get them back on their feet and get them out and helping other communities.
Oh, wow.
In order to so sorry, I'm socially awkward, so I sometimes kind of jibber jabber.
No, you're doing great.
But they're getting back on their feet, and they're trying to help their communities, which is another aspect that's mentally so freeing.
Yep.
At least everything that I've heard, I've done a lot of surveys.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I love numbers, and that's how I don't choose pass until I get the numbers. And so many of the individuals that I've talked to have wanted to help their community, because that is actually their positive reaction to help, not only where they've been, but in addition to helping the community that they've actually put down and took advantage of as well.
Yeah.
Be the positive influence to help them have a healthy diet.
Yep.
And we're planning to take a little food truck just around the communities, and produce truck, and get the produce to the local food desert. So
that's incredible. That's such a well thought out idea, and everything's so connected, and it all makes perfect sense. I think it's so cool that you're doing that. I love this idea, and I think it sounds so unique. It's unlike anything that I've heard of, so I love it, and that's really cool. So thank you for sharing that. Now I just want to quickly pivot for a second, talk about you versus the nonprofit. I know that your family, as I mentioned, moved to the U.S. from Russia when you were a kid, and from talking to you, seeing some of your videos, that you were hide under your desk shy, as you put it. So now you're founding a nonprofit. You're putting yourself out there on social media. You're doing these public speaking engagements like this, which is amazing. So how did you get from point A to point B, and what's your advice for people who are looking to come out of their shell?
Good. That's a really good question. So first of all, whenever I came to the United States, I didn't speak English very well. Especially we took in Russia, you take multiple language courses, but really, I'll tell you, it's a joke in my family. The only thing that I learned in my English course is the word grandma. I knew what grandma was. I knew that really well.
All right. You got to start somewhere.
But I got that first word.
Okay.
So whenever I moved over here, I was terrified. And, the one thing is I was actually not too shy of a person whenever I was in Russia, because I protected all the girls, because, I don't know what, I'm actually guessing this is probably normal for, elementary school age kids, where boys picked on girls. So ended up, I protected the girls.
Nice.
So my extroverted self was there to protect the girls. And then, whenever I moved to the United States, I became completely introverted because I could no longer communicate with the community. So whenever like I didn't know how to communicate with people, like I hid underneath the desk because I don't know what people are telling me. Like why are people doing this? And I'm like, I don't know whether I told you this story, but like in 5th grade, I went down the wrong path for my graduation, 5th grade graduation.
Oh, no.
And everyone, like literally a stadium of people, because this is like a huge public school, and a stadium of people like laughed, cracked up, because of course, like I'm a 5th grader, like it's adorable. Everyone's thinking it's adorable, like I'm over here traumatized.
That's a 5th grader's worst nightmare.
To the point in 6th grade, like I literally passed out after the teacher asked me my name and a little bit about me. I'm like, and
oh no.
So I mean, like shy is like an understatement. Like literally, like I was crawling underneath a rock. Like I don't ever want to talk in public ever again, kind of thing. But so it is a huge thing to go back into this place, because biochemistry was a safe little net. As you know, biochemistry, like you're in a little lab, you're taking care of things, you're like doing your own thing. It's like, hey, I need to do like this project, turn off the lights, do some like you don't have to always turn off the lights, but you can turn off the lights with some things like microscopy and stuff. But anyways, like it like you end up like I mean, you can hide down your own little nook basically, and like people will check in on you. It's like, hey, you good? It's like, yeah, I'm good. And like to this point where I actually have to communicate with society, how I did it, I genuinely believe it's because I believe in my calling. I believe in this so much that it's not an option for me. It really is not an option. It's like I just have to do it, and I already know so much about it because, like, I mean, I pretty much gorged on all the information, like from point A to point B. To the point where, like, although it's scary for me right now to talk, like I'm terrified and I'm over here breaking out. But at the same time, like, it feels comfortable. Like, I mean, this is what I'm passionate about, and like, I mean, whether I'm a good speaker or not, like, I'm probably horrible, but
no, not at all. You're great. Don't underestimate
but
yourself.
at the same time, it's something that, like, I feel should be talked about, you know? Like, I mean, it kind of shocks me sometimes because, like, I feel, because of lack of a better word, because I don't talk about it, like, to just, like, random people. Like, I feel like people know about it, because I genuinely do feel like some people should know about it, and I'm shocked whenever it doesn't come up, and, like, they're like, wow, I didn't realize that was an issue. I'm like, yeah, like, this is huge, and I mean, there's like a huge population, especially with people coming out of prison right now, and like, you know, like you kind of already heard all the memes and everything. It's like, all you have to do is get a COVID shot to reduce your sentence, and you're out. I mean, in essence, it's actually been happening since last year. People have been trying to get people out of prison. So all these guys are trying to figure out where to go, and this is not the first issue. Like, I mean, really, like, this is like gonna end up being like a larger issue than it is. And we're gonna have a lot of people like on the streets, and we're gonna have a lot of people not having a place to go. And really, there's never been a higher need for this kind of system, and that's where my passion comes from. That's why I get from A to point A to point B, and that's how I get the job done.
Nice.
As scary as it is.
I can totally see the passion, and when you're talking about it, like you talk with authority, like you know your stuff, and it comes off as very, very confident, but I can see that it's largely driven by your passion for it. So that's incredible, and I think what you're doing is very admirable, and maybe it'll be like super successful, and it'll be something that's like replicated in other cities. Like, it could be replicable, and so it could be a major problem solver. So I think that's awesome. And thanks for sharing your story around your coming out of your shell. And just to kind of pivot back into the nonprofit space, I know you've been documenting your journey, as I mentioned, in starting your first nonprofit on the Farm for Freedom's Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube pages. I've watched some of your vlogs, and I found them super insightful, and I highly suggest that people go and check them out if you want to learn more. But in these videos, you mention a lot about the struggles and the surprises that you've run into in the process of starting your nonprofit. So, and to quote you from one of the videos, every day is an uphill battle. Starting something, anything, is going to be hard. That's definitely true. So what have been some of the biggest hurdles and surprises that you've encountered?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. Okay, so I actually had some time to think about this one. Reflecting back, there's a lot. First of all, okay, I'm gonna start from day one. Just making the decision to do it and just going on, like that's a hurdle of its own. Like it's like from a biochemistry background, like my whole family, everybody that knows me, like all my friends, everybody that like is like in touch with me, it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, I volunteered and everything, but at the same time, it's like
big pivot.
So this degree that you got a full scholarship for, that you ended up working your butt off for, you just wanted to give it up and switch up your whole program to something you don't even need a degree for.
It's a big
like
pivot,
you did all this time to to turn back. So that peer pressure, honestly, like I just want to share with people, like that peer pressure of your like coworkers, your colleagues, your like your family members, your friends, like your peers, everybody's gonna like look a little bit like, it's like, are you kidding me? Like you had this whole future where like you're supposed to like do some huge science thing. You're over here starting a nonprofit. What's wrong with you? Are you sick? It's like, and that was really hard. That was like on day one, that was super hard, where I had to literally like put my foot down, make sure everyone knew that this is what it is. You want to deal with it, and like this is what's happening. And to this moment, like, so more recently, like I actually battled COVID in December, like, okay, battled is a little bit an overstatement because I know some people that actually battled it, but I actually went through it in the middle of this journey. So it was difficult because, like, first of all, like I already had a lab job, and it like, so I had to obviously stay home from that, and then in addition to that, like I had this nonprofit stuff where I need to meet with people and actually do things, and it's no longer like applicable. And like, you know, the 2 weeks, like I don't know whether you know, whether you had it or not, but like the 2 weeks after like you pass the test, you still have to quarantine. So like I ended up having to wait like nearly like 4 weeks or 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, something like that, before I could even do anything. That's or actually like talk to anyone. And so that was a huge like stop for me, because like, like a part of me, it's like I have all this extra time, but I'm very structured. I am super structured, almost OCD level structured. Like I'm good with 5 hours of sleep. I'm a weird person. Like literally, like I think my REM cycle like ends at 5 hours, and if I extend it past 5 hours, I ended up like feeling like drained and groggy all day. So yeah, I feel like I overslept at that point. So I'm blessed with that. So like whenever I go into a normal scenario, normal day, like it, like, and having like being sick, temperature, cough, not like feeling great, drowsiness, having more than 5 hours of sleep was a huge issue, and I knew that I needed it. I knew my body needed it because it needed rest. But that was a huge drain on my energy, like in general. Like, I mean, and you know, the thing is like a lot of people talk about these energy drains, and they have these personal energy drains. Like, you know, whether it's your partner, whether it's your family member, just like, oh my God, just please stop. Like, and I have that. Like, I mean, like in this situation, like that was a total energy drain, and it sucked. And going back up on my feet after that, it was difficult. I'm sure. Like that was on its own, like difficult. Like, I mean, just getting back on my feet, that was another issue. And now let's look into technicals of nonprofits, because this is an interesting part. Because this is the stuff that anybody that's in a nonprofit should know. Okay?
Okay.
So, first of all, board of directors. Oh my gosh. Like, looking for your board of directors. First of all, like, I actually had way too many applicants. Like, literally,
wow.
like, I'm just a startup.
Yeah.
So, people just messaging me to get onto the board was
Wow.
insane.
That's crazy.
And to this day, I had 36 applicants.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
for the board. And I only needed maybe 3 or 4
Wow.
to start off.
Wow.
So, overall, like, it was overwhelming, and I had amazing applicants. I'm not talking about like little minor guys or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, like, I had people from New York that had been on like 5 different boards.
Wow.
And like I'm super excited about my board. And like, I mean, because of course you can do like Skype and everything, especially with COVID and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not even an issue. This is how you meet with your boards now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, there were people that were like amazing applicants that were coming in, and choosing those applicants, first of all, was very difficult.
Yeah, I'm
and
sure.
then that was the first issue. And then choosing them, after choosing them, you have to actually like know them, which I personally had a horrible experience with. Okay, so one of my applicants I didn't know was, I'm not going to go into details, but financial issues that was in line to be a treasurer. So,
that would be a conflict.
So, yeah, it's huge conflict, right? Because you can easily take money from a nonprofit that's starting up.
Yeah.
So, second of all, I also had a lawyer that ended up trying to profit from the nonprofit.
Are you kidding?
Which is against the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's another thing.
Wow.
And then I also had another member, like, this is not actually big. I probably should have waited for that one for the first one or something. But nonetheless, like, it was probably the most disheartening one.
Yeah.
So it's actually one that I literally canceled out everyone else. I didn't, like, I wanted this individual specifically. I'm not going to name names, but like, I absolutely loved her. She had a nonprofit of her own that she's running, and she was willing to be part of the board. And she was doing a very similar thing to me, and I absolutely loved her. Like, I mean, I adored her. Like, literally, like, I didn't care if anyone else was on the board, if she was on the board. And she ended up canceling, like, the week of, and saying that she got a huge donation towards her nonprofit. And it's like, obviously 100% true. Hers is a lot bigger than anything that I have started. So, like, she ended up getting a huge donation for a facility that she had to renovate and do more things with.
Yeah.
And she ended up having to, like, put her time into that, which destroyed me. Like,
good for
personally,
her, but
oh my God,
for
all
you.
that time and effort and all this. But what it did teach me, I will tell you, all this, like, negative, and I mean, I should, like, kind of reiterate that fact that nonprofits are not easy. You're going to have this, okay? Like, this is really, like, this should be a nonprofits 101. I wish there was a course. Maybe at the end of this, I'll do a course online or something new to me. I'll work with them.
Perfect.
but really, like, I mean, honestly, starting a nonprofit is not as simple as, like, you know, picking a couple of friends. Because, I mean, you can pick friends, but do your friends really want to do this? It's like, and that's the issue. It's like, a lot of people, like, end up picking their friends, but you should end up, like, choosing somebody that actually can contribute too. And that's an issue on its own. Like, picking who is on your board. Is it going to be people that you know? Is it going to be people that, like, you trust, like, that have a background in it? Like, that's a choice on its own. That's a huge issue.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's crazy. I'll tell you, it's been fun finding out. Like, I mean, really, it's like, I mean, it depends how you look at it, but all those issues end up kind of teaching you, like, that you need to, like, take things into your own hands. For me, personally, I learned that just in case, like, I need, like, for, like, although I have a lot of funding, that's not the issue. Like, if I want to purchase everything, I want to make sure that I can fund it on my own.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
I'm going to fund the property on my own,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to take all the donations
Mm-hmm.
and build the facility.
Yeah.
And make it beautiful
Mm-hmm.
and wonderful for the people that are going to be using it.
Yeah.
And that is my goal.
That's incredible.
And I learn from it. Really honestly, I can't help but say this. People really need to appreciate the downs, the ups and downs.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love that. Yeah, no, it's very true. And I'm sure that you've experienced crazy highs and crazy lows throughout this journey, and it sounds like you've learned a ton throughout the process, which I'm sure it's so important to learn things, whether it's learning from mistakes, but also learning from positive things too. So that's awesome.
Also, I actually want to add to this. I've had friends back out of things too,
mm-hmm.
positions and everything. So that's another thing that you need to deal with if you do have friends coming into it. Nonprofits, although a lot of people like the idea of it, they don't realize the work that goes into nonprofits.
Yeah.
So anybody starting one, I want them to know that if a friend backs out of it, there's nothing holding against them.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's something that a lot of people don't realize until they get into it.
Fair.
So that's another issue. I just wanted to bring that up real quick before we end that.
Equally important issue. I think that also segues really well into one of our second to last question, but you've already touched on, board of directors being a major thing that you really need to think about as you're starting a nonprofit. Do you have any other advice for anyone that's listening who's thinking about starting their own nonprofit? Anything to add?
Well, what Pete Higgs over at Rendezvous Farm is stop, don't do it. But I don't know if I fully support that. Mm-hmm. Just I absolutely love his idea because really he probably knows people a lot more than I do because I'm socially awkward and in general just one-sided. I'm just okay, that's the target, let's get to it.
Yeah.
But people do have a tendency to skip from one thing to another and forget about their past thing. Mm-hmm. And I understand that mm-hmm. because I jump around, but I just don't forget about the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I kind of understand. People starting a nonprofit, man. Whew. Be prepared for an up and down journey because there's nobody helping you. Really, you have maybe some people that started a nonprofit that mm-hmm. but your journey's totally different than theirs. Unless you're starting a let's say a food pantry or something, that's basic.
Yeah.
No offense, but it really is. People there's a bunch of people that will be able to help you, direct you how you need to do things. Of course, every community is different and all that, mm-hmm. but there's people directing you. But if you're starting a nonprofit that's somewhat wonky or mm-hmm. different or doesn't have a basis, really you're dealing with an uphill battle. And it's going to be fun, I will tell you that. Mm-hmm. Because if you really like it, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you don't like going uphill and basically having to deal with everybody letting you down at the same time, literally everybody that completely destroying everything that you thought, mm-hmm. and then rebuilding yourself and realizing it's not you, it's not you, it's them, it's mm-hmm. They weren't there, but at the same time building yourself back up to the point where there's so many people that want this and literally begging for it. I've had people begging for this facility.
Oh wow!
And I have their contact information whenever it gets built. Literally, they want this. It's not the fact that there's lack thereof of need. It's the lack thereof of just your social network. Keep your social network just the limiting factors closest to you. Not this is not even the furthest from me. Mm-hmm. Furthest from me, absolutely love this and want to support it and everything. The closest to me are the don't understand because I have a biochemistry background.
Yeah.
So especially if you're from a different background,
it's hard. Yeah. Hard to sell.
It's hard.
Yeah.
People aren't going to fully understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever like you finally get on your feet and actually support it, and
Mm-hmm.
people are starting to realize, oh my God, she's serious.
This is real. Yeah, it's happening.
That's whenever people are like, holy crap, like, let me see what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I mean, honestly, like, that's what a lot of people are wanting right now. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a lot of my friends personally, like, they're supportive and
mm-hmm.
stuff. Like, on the sidelines, like, was waiting. It's like, holy crap, she's actually doing it. It's like, yeah, they're actually noticing. They're, like, I'm getting messages, like, saying, like, I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe that, like, this is happening.
It's amazing.
Like, I mean, I never thought that you were going to be, like, in this field.
Yeah.
It's like, a lot of people, like, I know end up finding out and wanting to volunteer. It's like, literally, like, there's, the community builds, although like the initial people may not be there.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't change the friendship factor because mm-hmm. their friendship is still okay.
Yeah.
But just not in this field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's still something there, and don't ignore the pieces that are there for the pieces that are not there. Okay. Just because it's your friend circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's my biggest thing. It's like, your friend circle will never like exactly be there, especially the ones that initially know you. And if you've changed huge, like in a large amount, they're not going to understand.
Yep.
Get to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to prove it. You got to prove that you can do it, and then they'll come to you. But it's going to be, the hard part is going to be the part that you're doing alone, as you said. So yeah, I think that's great advice, and I hope anyone listening took something away from that who's thinking about starting one of these amazing ventures on their own. All right, so let's close this out. For your last question, how, for anyone that's been listening and is like, wow, this sounds awesome, I want to get involved, I want to learn more, how can people help? Where can they learn more? What can they do?
I mean, honestly, just message me on my email, mm-hmm. which should be on the website. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have it, it's Maria, Maria, at farmforfreedom.com.
Easy.
That's the best way, honestly, like, to, like, message me. And I'm totally open to people randomly texting me, because I get that, actually. Mm-hmm. I've openly made my phone number available to people.
Nice.
Through my videos, which thankfully it has not been abused yet, but at the same time possible. 865-249-5828. Just text me.
Nice.
I mean, honestly, like, I'm, like, I get text messages, but at the same time, like, I pay attention to text messages, especially, like, people that, I'm sorry, Kay, like, I try to focus, but, like, it's, like, literally, like, if people have questions, like, I want to answer them. Yes. Like, and, like, I will try to answer them. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes it takes a second text message, okay, well,
all good.
Understand that?
We're all good.
Sometimes it takes a second one, because sometimes, like, I focus, like, this is my issue. Like, I focus on the task at hand, and I will, like, notice the text message, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that looks really good. That's a really great comment. Like, like Kay's, it's like, oh, that's a great comment. But if you don't have, like, you know,
second
like,
to respond at that time. Yeah. Yes. If you're focused, I totally relate to that too. Don't worry.
It's like, I have all these thoughts running through my head, but if you get me a second text message, I'm like, oh God, I forgot about that one. Then, like, you should get a response soon.
I'm sure that you get so many messages if you're handing out your
your
number.
No, God.
So
no, like,
I totally get it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And, like, although I don't get, like, the random ones where, like, just somebody's messing with me, I will tell you, like, I've been fortunate.
Yeah, no, I couldn't.
But I've been making my personal phone number available to people.
Yeah.
And it's helped out a lot. Like I said, like, I've been getting a lot of volunteers and, like, people interested. And even, like, people in the farming community and agricultural economy and, like, finances, I think it's finances, like, interested in, like, helping me out. Like, literally, I have a ton of people messaging me just randomly about this, and it's amazing.
That's awesome.
But that's probably the best way to contact me. Just might take a second message if you're using my text.
All good.
So that's just a heads up.
Nice. Well, that's amazing. I think what you're doing is so cool, and I encourage people who want to get involved to reach out, because I think what you're doing is so worthwhile. But that is all the questions that I have for you today. So I believe that concludes our talk, but I just want to give another huge thank you to you, Maria, for joining us today, sharing everything that you've learned in the process of starting a nonprofit. Like I said before, I find it really inspiring how much passion you have for this nonprofit and all the work that you put into it. Everyone, go check out Maria and Farm for Freedom. I've included the link to the nonprofit's website in the description in the video, so you can find it there. But thank you so much again for sharing.
Yeah.
All right. Now, before anyone runs off really quickly, I just want to do a couple quick shout outs. If you want to share your story just like Maria did, please let me know. You can email us at empowermentpodium@gmail.com or message us on our socials. As I mentioned in the beginning, we've got an Instagram, a Facebook, and a TikTok account, all of which you can find by searching at Empowerment Podium or at the links in the description down below. So give us a follow there to stay up to date on when we'll be going live next and to see some replays of our previous stories. If you like this stream, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. You can also hit that notification bell to receive a notification every time we post a new video or live stream. And with that, that is the end of today's talk. So thank you guys all again so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon.